One of the more notable misconceptions when it comes to the mob is the word loyalty. Historically, most people associate the word to organized crime as one of its fundamental principles that makes up the structure. It's not only a vow of secrecy and silence, but a way of treating your fellow brothers, as well as one's actions and decision making. One of the things you're told at an induction ceremony is if your child is dying in the hospital and you receive a call to come to your family, your crime family, you're to leave your child's side and go to your family, which is an extreme form of loyalty. I recently spoke of an induction ceremony conducted by the Sicilian mafia in the 1970s, where the following words were spoken. The father of a son who've made a mistake with the wife of a mafioso, even while crying, must strangle his son. So those are two examples of how the mob expects your loyalty. For the average person, civilian so to speak, loyalty is considered a two-way street, implying reciprocal exchange where you get a sense of alliance from the person or people you give your loyalty to. Loyalty is viewed as a key component of building trust, where everyone involved know that they can depend on each other. Over the last few years, viewers have heard a great deal about the mob, some of it from the horse's mouth, and an abundance of regurgitated information. Nevertheless, coupled with this information is a massive amount of glorification. Definitely not by me, but for the most part, this does take place. Where the problem occurs is that excessive praise often conceals the truth. The mob's shortcomings are continuously overlooked or downplayed. Let's take Patty Delarosa, for example. If I were to line up people who follow the mob as a hobby, most, I assume, would say he's a good guy. And if asked, do you consider him to be loyal? The answer most likely would be yes. And that's fully understandable because the average civilian, YouTube viewer, and most content creators have absolutely no inside knowledge. They only know what they read, hear, or believe. I've mentioned this particular incident in the past, and it's not something I read or heard or Googled. This is fact. Shortly after Mikey DeSantis stepped in as the acting boss, there was an incident that took place. Patty had two associates who he was upset with because they were dealing and socializing with other members, and specifically doing business. I happened to know them and would usually see them around. Anyway, one day Patty told me that he blasted them over this issue. Well, these two guys happened to be friendly with Mikey, and Mikey came to their defense and put Patty in his place, causing Patty to become so worried about having a problem with Mikey that he ultimately broke out with the shingles. But here's the best part. Afterwards, Patty told me, I'm really not that close to Mikey. I'm more close to Georgie Neck. Now, prior to this incident, Patty was throwing bouquets at Mikey and telling me what a great guy he is and how close they were. Yet in the blink of an eye, Patty's loyalty went out the window. He displayed the same behavior with the guys he had around them. Besides playing one against the others, on a weekly basis, he would pick one who he would badmouth. One afternoon, I sat in the Lucchese Social Club up in the Bronx and listened to Joe DiNapoli explain how he put a member of the family in a trick bag, causing him a potential problem, which could have got the guy shelved. I couldn't believe my ears. Here was the family's consigliere, who's essentially supposed to settle problems within the family, and he's causing them. Johnny Sideburns had two brothers as associates, Glenn and Richie. And I've also spoke about this. He would alternate. One week he called Glenn a rat, and the next week it was Richie. And it got to the point where I had to tell him that I couldn't keep up who was no good. He laughed at this. Let me just put this into proper perspective. Sideburns wasn't saying he was mad or upset with either brother. He was labeling them, a label that could have put their lives in jeopardy. Look what Matty Madonna did. Upon his release, Vic set him up to be inducted, given a captain position, and eventually placed him as the acting boss. I don't know about anyone else, but I would say he owed Vic his utmost loyalty. What did Matty give him? Vic sent a letter out from prison that was given to Matty, with specific instructions. Straighten this guy out and give him $1 million of the money that they had coming to them from the Avelinos. Matty not only didn't straighten the guy out, but pocketed the money for himself. What does that say about loyalty? When you hear me repeat these stories, understand it's much different as a member and watching these incidents play out, which was numerous displays of disloyalty. There comes a point when you say to yourself, what the fuck did I sign up for? I sat back and watched Anthony Guzzo, who I considered one of my closest friends, go to our captain and make up a story that he had to lay out $1,500 for me, money that he claimed I owed him, which was a blatant and total lie. And when he was exposed, he blamed the lawyer for robbing him of the $1,500. And by the way, no apologies were ever offered to me. There are people who question what I say, especially by saying there's no loyalty left. I'm not referring to every person in the mob. There are certain people who conduct themselves accordingly, but the vast majority do not. When Joe DiNapoli advocated to place Big John in a captain position, it was his brother Bubsy who went before the administration to try to convince them to give him the position instead. Obviously, this didn't happen, and all he did was expose his character. So here we have an example of brother showing no loyalty to his own brother. I don't know how other people deal with loyalty, as everyone has their own way of living. For me, loyalty given must be returned. I've witnessed many people who say one thing and do the complete opposite. I always treat people accordingly. The way you treat me is what you can expect back. In this video, I didn't go into my personal experiences where the mob and those I considered friends showed me the ultimate disloyalty, because it really doesn't matter at this point in time. People are going to believe whatever they want to believe. I believe what I know and what I was shown. If you haven't liked this video yet, please take the time now and give it a thumbs up, as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Also, for anyone who'd like to show their appreciation for videos like this or help me to continue making them, you can donate with the Super Thanks icon down below or through the PayPal Cash App links in the video's description. Let me quickly remind everyone of my blog, especially those of you who still enjoy reading. It can be found at sitdownnews.com and is subscription only. One of the strongest examples of disloyalty is when members of the mob lure a friend, and sometimes a best friend, to be killed. Personally, I don't see any honor or loyalty in doing that. Maybe viewers think differently. Let me know your thoughts by leaving a comment. And before I end, I'd like to wish everyone a happy Easter.